So yeah, I think we can start. So yeah, again, welcome for on this kickoff for our Southern California chapter, where we'll be covering a Studio Web, mainly how you can enable cloud first automation with Studio Web, um, and our agenda that we'll be covering for this session will be going to some, of course, introduction. What is our goal for this community chapter, and do a quick refresher of UiPath overview end-to-end platform for the benefit of others that who is not that aware of UiPath, or who may have awareness of RPA in general, but does not have that familiarity with the overall UiPath platform. And then I'll hand it over to Pradeep, who will be who has prepared this awesome demo for Studio Web, introducing what Studio Web or what's coming, a sneak peek for this newest member of the Studio family, and do some live demo and walkthrough around that. And lastly and finally, we will have a Q&A, of course, to get any questions, burning questions that anyone has of this session, and also maybe suggest some other topics in the next few sessions that we'll be handling. Okay, so that's the agenda that we have. And again, for this particular, so we have, as you would know, we have different chapters across the world, in Americas, in the different regions of the world, and one of which that we're handling mainly right now is UiPath South California chapter. So this is both an online and offline community where we as RPA practitioners or developers, whether you're technical at a technical level or a functional level, or you're an enthusiast of RPA and bleeding edge technologies around RPA. So this is where we can meet like-minded individuals and share our experience across the industry, different use cases or different technical tips and tricks that we had throughout our experience in the industry. And we can learn together with the challenges that we've experienced. We can share. So right now we're doing this virtual event, and maybe in the next few sessions, this will be the similar type of event. But we're hoping as we transition, as we move out of the pandemic, we'll be hosting some in-person events for this South California chapter. Once and of course that can be planned, right? And for some of the chapter, we also saw they host a workshop, actual hands-on session and workshop,
Right.
where they build projects and components together. So that's what's in the future as well that we're thinking and planning to do as well. Okay. So this is about the chapter, and before we move on to the main topic, I'd like to introduce who will be seeing the presenting. I myself, I'd like to introduce myself first. I'm Russell Alfeche. I'm part of Cubotica, who is an intelligent automation services company within the US. I moved previously from Southeast Asia, the Philippines, from UiPath, and then moved into the US 3 months back. So you can say I just came here and just getting in the community and getting acquainted.
You're doing a full round circle, right? From UiPath to back to UiPath. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, now I've been more involved now into in the community, and yeah. So this is where my heart is. So this is where I love the most doing UiPath projects, right? And yeah. So and also we have here. So we're very fortunate to have here Pradeep, having one of our MVPs here. So Pradeep, do you wanna do a quick introduction?
Yeah, thanks Russell for having me here. So myself Pradeep Shukla, work as the chief technologist for Peraton. I'm a UiPath MVP for this year. and I'm really excited to be part of this community, helping Russell get it started and bring some really interesting content. We'll start with some basics like we talked about, and definitely we are looking forward to a point where we can build some workshops, like a build a bot session,
Mm-hmm.
where we can just go through those sessions, right? One on one, we can plan ahead. Um, so that would be one of the things. Other than that, we'll also look at how we can build like some um, technical series, deep dive sessions. So yeah, so just watch out for this channel, and we'll have more content coming in very soon.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks, Pradeep. So I guess at that note,
Yeah, and
we can. Mhm.
Diana is
Yep.
the community manager, right?
Oh,
She's not
yep.
here today because she has some prior engagements, so she
Yep.
couldn't join. But yeah, she has been really helpful and supportive for us to set up this channel, set up this um, community and
Mhm.
SoCal chapter. So in the future session, she'll be there. She'll be here, so that she can share more insights about
Yeah.
what she is involved in all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're really excited for the next few sessions, especially when we make our community reach more audience and more attendees. So definitely that would be a more interactive session for you all, and we can be able to see what topics would be most interested to everyone, right? So that
Yep.
yeah, so that would be a really good session. Yeah, to start, so that we're all on the same page. We'll start with the basics. So this is, I think, for most of us practitioners, it would be a refresher of what is RPA, the concepts behind it, and how UiPath has built this robust end-to-end platform around it, and materialize whatever objectives of every company in their digital transformation journey is, and materializing all those and executing within their own organization, right? So robotic process automation. When you heard about robotic, you immediately think about physical robot. But in this case, it when we talk about RPA, it's a software robot, right? Robotic part of it, so software robot simulating human actions, right? So anything that you can do with the computer that's repetitive, that's mechanical, that involves mental labor, so that's robotic, right? Process, a series of steps or actions put together end-to-end process. Let's say going to website, going to email, downloading attachment. So this series of steps that constitute an end-to-end process in order to achieve a particular goal or in order to achieve a particular business function. This is the process piece of it, right? Robotic process, and last piece is automation. So automation describes the technology behind how you can um, make this mechanical sets of steps, the robotic process, how you can automate this and streamline this particular process. So as a human, you don't have to do this mundane repetitive tasks. So you can hand this over to robot who performs this kinds of tasks. So this is basically robotic process automation, automating the mundane repetitive tasks so that you as a human would be able to um, uh, focus on more creative and be more human. So do what we do best as a human, which is to interact or connect with our fellow human, right? So that's robotic process automation. As I mentioned, anything that a human can do, a robot can do, right? So anything that you have in your desktop, interacting with APIs, performing actions based on predefined business rules, all of those stuff, logging into application, moving files and folders, emails. So basically anything um, that you can do, a robot can. It's just a matter of selecting the right process of to automate, right? And there are sets of criteria that you want to consider in order to find that right process and be able to reap the benefit out of that um, automation, right? So I'll just go over through this quickly as fast as I can so that we can have more time around the demos and other stuff we prepared. So what the next section would be or topic would be what are the different types of robots. So at its most basic level, we have attended and unattended. By the name itself, the only difference between the two is unattended is run autonomously, either as scheduled or triggered from an event. So it can run 24 by 7. It can run any automated process independently in the background or in a dedicated machine. It can run any long process. And while attended is by the name itself, it works side by side with humans on their desktop as digital assistants, as we call. So the main difference between the two is their how they are triggered. So unattended, as I mentioned, can be triggered as scheduled or triggered from an event. So it can run independently, while attended is triggered by the human using what the UiPath calls UiPath Assistant, right? And you have the capability to combine, depending if a use case warrants the combination of both unattended and attended. So that's what we call hybrid. So that an unattended may run a process as scheduled, let's say at 8 a.m. And then at a particular point in time, that unattended robot would send out email so that it will ask for a human to, let's say, run an attended robot to uh, run the reporting process as an ad hoc process. So that attended robot will be triggered by a human. Or at some point, the unattended robot would require a validation from a human, so it will pass that particular action or task to a human, and perform that seamless handoff from unattended to attended robot. Right, and with this different types of robots, you can basically do any types of scenarios, automation scenarios that you can think of, right? Um, for a digital assistant that you can ask to download report to create extract reports from a website for you, or an unattended robot that runs daily to process the invoice so that once you come into the office, the invoice are ready in the system in your SAP or in any other CRM system that you have. So you can think of any types of use cases or scenarios that you can do any combination of this, both unattended and attended robot. And since we're on that topic where can RPA be used? So given the nature of this technology, right? Anything that you can think of that you do within your computer can be automated, whether you're in finance, whether you're in retail or HR, you're doing onboarding, you're doing um, compensations and benefits and stuff. You're in IT, you're doing health automation, health check automation, restarts of the server. You're in supply chain, you're processing bill of lading, processing documents day in, day out. So those tasks that you see that you do daily and takes the most of your time, you have to manually do this instead of being able to analyze the what you do. Let's say what you do as an accountant, or what you do as an engineer, you don't have the time to do it because you're doing this clerical tasks. So those things you can have the robots do so that you can be more engaged to whatever you're trained to do, right? As an engineer, you should be designing this schematics or different schematics diagram instead of doing the administrative work of copy and pasting from an Excel to another. So this really empowers everyone on whatever they do best, right? So this is to say that automation or RPA is function agnostic and at the same time industry agnostic. Whether you're in manufacturing industry, in banking industry, whatever industry that you're in, so you can see lots of opportunities where you can automate. Whether you're in finance, you're in HR, as I mentioned, RPA has become so widespread because it's broadly applicable in all these different functions. Um, so virtually any high volume business rules driven, where you have a really concrete rules, established process, repeatable. These are very good candidate for automation, right? And even those that would involve, let's say, more complex type of capability, like extracting from documents that are unstructured, um, classifying emails that are coming in that are unstructured. So those that require cognitive or analytical or prediction type of scenarios or probabilities. So in fact, even those can now be automated using um, bots that are infused with AI skills, right? So coming from business rules driven to more AI driven type of use cases, you can automate the whole spectrum with the advent of what's UiPath now. And that leads us to this topic, uh, the end-to-end UiPath platform, how it enables a fully automated enterprise, starting with the core RPA, which is build, manage, and run. So this is where it all started, right? The traditional RPA where you automate the rules driven tasks. So if this happens, click this, type into this. So those really mechanical tasks that you can build a concrete business rules out of. And this is still the same similar thing that we're doing right now. Most of this are what we call quick wins or low hanging fruits, right? And these are the main components that you use to materialize this process as a full-fledged automation. Okay, so you start with build. Of course, this is the tools that you use to build automation as a workflow. You don't have to have a hardcore programming skills to automate or to build a workflow to automate your task. So that's why you have Studio. That's why that's why you have Studio X, and we will be discussing right now. That's why how we can use Studio Web as a starting point for us, for everyone, to learn automation, to learn to build automation. So that's build, right? Um, and manage. So this is where you can publish whatever you built and make it consumable for your consumers who will run the automation using unattended robot. So manage does not only manage your process that you built, the robots that you are tracking, or the robots in your robotic workforce. So it gives you a real time statistics or dashboard or performance of your robots, as well as being able to see or manage your test cases as well. So if you wanna automate your test cases, you can manage. You have a component within the management platform where you can do that as well, where you can do test case management, create test case, and also you have in the management piece a way to manage your more advanced type of skill for your robots, so what we call AI center. So that's also in managed piece, right? So everything related to your automation that you need to deploy, you need to test, you need to train the machine learning model. So that's in the managed pillar in the core RPA platform. Okay. So, and again, run is either attended or unattended robot, which I've discussed earlier. And also you have here the test robot where you can run any automated test that cases that you build using the build pillar that says Studio mainly. Okay, so that's core RPA, and this is all good. This is the core platform or tools that you use to materialize your idea, right, of what to automate into a full-fledged automation. So you build it, you deploy it in Orchestrator, and run it, right? So that's all good. But what's even better is UiPath has this whole suite of um, components where it can help you in the other more key aspects in the automation in an automation journey, which is being able to select the right process. I mentioned earlier. So one of the key things for your automation journey to be successful is being able to select the right process for automation, right? And considering all the different criteria, um, and considering all the different factors, the benefits, the cost savings, the volumetry, the frequency of the process. So within the UiPath platform, it can help you ideate and discover either through Automation Hub, okay, which uses crowdsourcing as a main tool of discovery,
Yeah.
getting the idea from the workforce, or more statistic based, scientific based, using process mining or task mining that automatically ingest data from your systems and be able to see where the bottlenecks are, where the optimizations can come in, and where the automations cannot come in. So this is a very high level the description of the components you use to discover so that you can um, get these automation opportunities within your organization. So the other end of it would be the engage piece, where you can have people and robots working together as a team for seamless process collaboration. And of course, eventually, it is your stakeholders. What they really want is to see some results, right? So within the UiPath end-to-end platform, you also have this measure and governing tools that you can use to measure the performance, strategic KPIs, operational performance of your robotic workforce. And so you can have a full life cycle of the, the tools that you need to make your automation journey successful. So I guess that's a mouthful. I've already talked so many things about. So I guess we can move on to the main topic that we have, which is the Studio Web on the build piece of it. How you can have lesser friction in adopting UiPath as a tool to serve as starting point of your automation journey, where you can build your own automation from scratch easily using a Studio Web. Okay. Um, so yeah, so maybe we can go ahead and move to the next topic. Pradeep.
Yeah, sure. Uh, Thanks, Russell. That was very a quick high-level overview. There are too many things, right? I know we cannot
Yeah.
cover everything in a short amount of time, and it becomes too much if someone is really just getting started. So I won't take too much time with the slides, and we'll quickly jump on to the demo where we can do something hands-on. But just to give you a little bit level set where we are. So in terms of today, UiPath platform has two development environments, which is like integrated development environment, IDEs if you call it, right? So it's a Studio and Studio X. So from a user's perspective, it's a one single deployment. You have one IDE in your desktop, but it has two personas or two flavors to it, if you will. One is a Studio X, which is for business users, and Studio is for advanced developers, programmers who are transitioning toward this area, or someone who is a little bit more advanced in terms of building automation. As you can see, as far as the requirement of coding skills is concerned, Studio X is very uh, high level in a way that it enables the business developers to build automation for their own, and though they don't need to have any kind of programming background for that matter. They have built some Visio, they have built some process flows, whether it's a BPMN model or any kind of process diagram that they may have built using PowerPoint and all that. Maybe these days PowerPoint is also kind of used a lot for building to show process flows. So yeah, I mean, as long as you have that understanding, I think you will be very comfortable using Studio X, um, and that's really powerful in terms of how we can use it. And focus areas like how we deploy it. So Studio X automations are primarily attended automation that you deploy on your own laptop, and you can run through simple processes, whether it's an email automation, you want to perform something through your email, or you want to perform something with your Excel, data manipulation, those kind of small things, right? Cleaning data. Let's say if you have blank empty cells, you want to clear them up or add some default values to it. But those kind of small use cases are very good uh, uh, consideration for Studio X automation. And Studio is definitely the primary development environment where you can build any kind of automation with small, medium, large, complex, whatever the case may be. And these automations are for attended, unattended, for any uh, type of use cases. And Russell also mentioned the test automation. That's also another area. If you are building something on the test side of it, it's a great candidate, great environment for building that kind of automation. So that covers those what we have available today, but we are really excited to present what is upcoming. So drum roll, please. I would say. Uh, so Studio Web is the latest entrant in this in the development platform. I would say now it completes in a way it completes the trinity of Studio, UiPath Studio, where you have Studio X, Studio, and now Studio Web. Uh, it has been requested for some time. So primarily, what it is, it's a completely browser-based development environment where you can build automation right from your browser, and you do not need to install any separate component. You don't need to ensure that you have certain .NET framework version available on your laptop or anything. So it really lowers the entry barrier for someone to build and start doing automation activities, right? So you open your browser, your favorite browser, but for now it's primarily supported anything on Chromium platform. So your Chrome and few other browsers are out there which support Chromium platform. So you can use any of those browsers. um, Definitely, there will be updates will come out for Edge and Firefox and other browsers to support in later iterations. But yeah, everyone is using Chrome. You can easily get in and you can start building automation. Um, so it Studio Web as such, the environment when we talk about it, when we when we launch the application, when we launch and look at the automation, it's pretty standard and like we'll go through that in few minutes, right? It's very intuitive in a way, right? But there are a lot of things goes behind the scenes, right? With any automation, because this is a single platform where you can build, run, and deploy everything in the same browser. We do not need any other uh, application for that matter, right? So there are a lot of things goes behind, and that's where the serverless robot concept comes in. You don't have to configure your own robots. These robots are configured for you when you execute and publish your automation. It is published, it is available to your orchestrator processes. You can always go back and take a look from there, and you can come back, make adjustments, and you can redeploy them. So we'll look at that. Uh, we will also look at how we can quickly transform from a studio web automation to a studio automation. So we can quickly transition the whole activity into a studio environment and you can continue building. So in a way, it provides you on the go uh, capability. You can build automation on any platform, and again, this is just a starting point, so there are certain limitations to it, but I think it's a very good start, because once we get into this mode, I'm pretty sure it will keep on going and we will have those features where we can use backward compatibility in a way that certain automations that are built on studio can go on studio web, right? So those things will come on in future iterations, but for now, what we have is available right now in a preview, in a public preview. What does that mean? That it's not available right away on your platform. You have to go sign up and request for Studio Web, and it's available through the community orchestrator. So if you have already a community orchestrator login, you can go in and you can request for Studio Web. All right, let's go on to the next page.
Sure.
All right. So some of the use cases, primarily, like I said, this is just available for public preview. So the features are limited for now, but these are ever increasing features. primarily this automation is focused on building a web-based automation. So anything related to Google, your Google account, GSuite automation, Office 365 for cloud deployments, and that's a very interesting use case for IT automation. Building something right from your browser, that actually is very uh, unique for a lot of organizations where because of certain constraints, like certain security constraints, you cannot install UiPath because of the IT restrictions on your on your machine, right? So in those cases, it becomes very handy. You can build an automation right away from your browser, and you can leverage the server deployment, infrastructure updates, creating virtual machines, adding roles, users, groups, policies. The use cases are immense. We'll look at very quickly at that. Integration services and document understanding, those are other use cases that are very important. And it's really uh, binds all these different use cases that are available for online as an online service. Uh, and Studio Web really fits right in with all of that. What it does not do today, it does not support any desktop automation or any screen recording for that matter, right? But those features are being talked about, and most probably we will have those time this Studio Web is available for general preview, or maybe by next release, right? Yeah, our team is definitely aggressively working on adding more enhancements to the platform itself. All right, I think this is time for me to jump in for demo. Um, Russell, can you make me host? I can start sharing screen
Yep, I
that
can
way.
stop sharing and
All right. Yeah, I can share now. Let's see. Let me know when you see my screen. All right.
sure. Yeah, I can see your screen.
All right. So let's quickly log in. So this is the community. Well, this is not the community one, but I'm using the MVP orchestrator platform. But if you go to your community account, orchestrator account, it will look like same. There will be no difference here. So what we are going to see on the left panel, the way we have all each individual service, operator, apps, uh, automation ops, and different data services. All those services are listed out on the left panel, right? Similarly, that's where we will find our studio. So this is our new friend, Studio Web. And in in your case, if you're logging in and you don't have access to Studio, when you go here and click on it, there will be a page that will ask for you to submit uh, or request an instance. Okay, so you sign up. It usually takes 24 hours, I would say, to load up. But yeah, I mean, once you come in here, you will be directly landed in this interface where you have option to start creating new projects right away. All right. Um, so let me first walk you through a little bit about this interface, and then we'll quickly jump on to the demo. So we have two demos that I want to share, and time permitting will go much more deep dive, but at least the first one I want to build right away here. The second one I'll walk you through, um, depending on what time we have. So as you can see, I talked about this is studio preview. So this is a public preview feature right now. And once it is available in general availability, this goes away and it will be available right away on your community platform and anyone can start using it. So in this, you have my projects where you can each individually create your projects. You have import project option where you can import an existing project from a different orchestrator for that matter. But believe me, this import project only works for the Studio Web projects only. So I cannot import anything that I have built on Studio X or Studio, and I cannot directly import here. So that will come later on. So let's start with this. And the best way to start any program, and I believe all of you agree to it, that we should start always our programming with a Hello World project. So I'll start with that. Um, and let's see what we do. And this is very basic. The reason that's why we want to start with very simple things so that you have a exposure to the interface, and then we can build from there, right? So we put our project name, description, um, first project, or I'll say this, first studio project for SoCal community. All right. So let's create. And there you go. So one thing that we have to be mindful, since this every interaction is happening on the browser itself, so things sometimes may um, be slow. Okay, so give it a time. Especially you will notice that delay in when we are building some integration. So let's say if I'm integrating this with a Google Drive or Gmail, and you make certain changes, right? Create some new objects. It takes a few minutes to sync up, right? So other than that, I think it's pretty good the way it is. I have been able to build some integration samples very quickly and very seamless to run, and even transition from Studio Web to Studio. All right, so now this project is up and ready for me to start building out. And if you there are no references, there are no dependencies that we have to define, because Studio Web takes care of all of those background activities, right? In a studio, if you have already done that, you would see if you have to add some certain component, you have to go manage repositories. You get search for those repositories, those NuGet packages you can download, add, and go from there. But on the web, this is all inbuilt. This is all taken care of under the hood. We have option to run this automation step by step, where each activity it will break at every activity. It will run one by one. We have publish option right here. Once we build, we can directly publish it, and we'll look at that. On the right hand side, you'll see two icons here. One is a data manager, where you can see all your variables, all your arguments as part of this project, what you may be using. And the next one is output window. So this output window comes in, it opens up whenever we are going to run it, but we can always toggle it uh, by ourselves. All right, so let's get started and build a hello world. So add an activity when we click on this, and this is what we talked about. So these are the services that are right. Have Amazon Web Services, Bamboo HR. This is for integration, Cisco, Coupa, Google Cloud, and this is Google Cloud is primarily for all your ITSM integration, right? Spinning up resources on GCP, Jira, Office 365, NetIQ, Twilio, Amazon Workspaces is also included, Azure, Active Directory, document understanding, um, web APIs, direct web, so you can build a webhook with another REST API and connect the systems that way, Zendex. And control and UI automation is what provides you the basic layout. Like if you want to build a if condition, for, do, while loop, those kind of iterations you want to build, that you can use for this. UI automation is the UI features where you can point an object to an open browser item that's already available. So we'll look at those as well. So these are the use cases that we are here. So since we are building a hello world, so let's go with a very simple one, and I'll look at setting up a variable, let's say. So my first control is a variable here, and I'm going to say, so what we'll do a very quick and simple automation with string concatenation of, and then just writing it out on the output window. And then we'll go through the life cycle of this automation: publish, run, publish, and then transition this to a studio, moving it directly to a studio. All right. So this, and so now we have given a value. Let's create a variable for this, and we save this as a variable. All right, so we can say tr message. All right, so this is, I'll just leave it as is. Won't change too many things here. This is just an introductory session, introductory item. So this is a hello world. Let's create one more variable. Let's see. Right. So here I can say from Studio Web, and let me save this one as well. All right. There are issue here. See what is this? Selected values incompatible of property. Let's look at. Right. You can go here. Look at my variable. It's removed. Or I can save as separate. So it's a global text. How about this? All right. Okay. So the next one is pretty simple. Now I already have two variables, so I'll go ahead and write it on the output window. So I'll use a control.write line. And one of the interesting things that I have noticed on Studio Web, that I don't need any concatenation character. So I can simply say, so I have to put these brackets to tell that this is a variable. And then I go with, so first variable is str message, second variable name is str string Studio Web. All right. So, and I can say here, and I don't have to put any double quotes or any other notation as such to convert into as a string, because it's by default text, so everything is always taken like that. And that was interesting. I was putting in, the first time I was looking at it, I was putting in all curly braces and everything, all double quotes to make it work. But that's good. So this is all done. This is, let's see and run it out and see if it works. All right. So when we are running it, it's spinning up a robot behind the scene, and we'll see some of those logs as soon as it's ready. So its agent is initializing, transferring project transferred, needed package restored, and hello world, right? So hello world is to the SoCal community. So it took this. So let's see, what did we go wrong? I put two of them. So you see SoCal community directly came up. So, okay, so let's do this. And I can actually expand it, and I can use variables here. All right, so I can say message. All right, so I have to put brackets too. All right, that's good. And then Studio Web. All right, so now we save it, and then let's run it again and see if we get our desired result. All right. All right, so we have our output. Hello world from Studio Web to the SoCal community. How easy is that? So that completes the first one, and we can see all the log and information. So that's pretty simple. Now that we have published it, not published it, we just ran it. And then the other option is running it step by step, and then we can publish it. So let me publish it. So publishing is directly from here. We do not have to use any other option. This windows looks similar to how we publish any component from Studio project itself. If you want to change anything here, go ahead and change. If not, just click on publish. All right. So we saw that it was queued for publishing and then it got published. So let's look at it. So we go back to Orchestrator and we go find our latest automation. Okay. So we go to processes and there you go. This is our automation that's published. And we can directly start a job here. We can run it and we can configure how to run it, when to run it, if that is something. And we see this robot runtime is cloud serverless. So that's the most interesting thing is building Studio Web interface was one part of it, but in order to be able to support it behind the scene was definitely interesting. How a lot of things worked behind the scene to make it work, right? Okay, so we have submitted this. Now my package is published. So the next thing I want to show how we move from here to our studio environment. So we have these options here. We have a download project option, which actually, if we download it, it will create the same main.xaml and there will be a few project files, some dependencies. But I can directly open it in desktop. So I can click on open desktop and it will launch the desktop community edition or any edition that you may have on your machine, right? It's not specific to a version. So it will come back and we'll be able to continue developing this automation on the studio environment. So while this is going on, any comments, feedback?
Yeah, I think this is pretty seamless. So you
Yeah.
don't have to spin up your robot. You don't have to set up anything in your local machine. So you just build your automation directly, and boom, you have your automation. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool.
So while it's loading it up, let's look at. Uh, we have only few minutes left. So Russell, do you want me to go through the other demo?
Yeah, sure, sure. If you
Okay.
have prepared some
Yeah,
additional
sure.
demo
So I
there, so
have right. So I wanted to do the first one as a full-fledged. Yeah. If you have something, okay. So I need to close because I went back here, but we'll open up. Oh, okay. There you go. This is loading up. There we see. So now we see here, right? So it converted everything the way we built the variable name, the text, and then it was able to write line and format. So all integrate, all conversion of the project, right? It happens behind the scene, and we have our project available here. All these dependencies, this will be marked as cross-platform. It's coming from from Studio Web, but you will have all the settings available here to continue your development on your studio environment. All right, I really found that very interesting in a way because you're not just limited to something that you build here and it can only be worked upon on your studio web, right? It can move on to different interfaces and you can continue building on it. So let's quickly go on to the next demo that I had. It's very simple in a way, but I wanted to show the integration with Gmail. So in this demo, what primarily we would be doing that we will connect to an email address. We will look for certain type of emails with a certain subject line, and we will download attachments, and we will save it to the Google Drive. So we have a few integrations within the Google Suite, and we have some conditional validation. We are only downloading emails that have a certain subject in that, and we are also downloading objects that are of a certain type. So even if the subject matches, let's say your attachment is of a different type, we will not download it. So I'll walk you through, and then I'll show you a quick rundown of it, right? So I have configured this email address. This is a Gmail address. And the configuration of Gmail is very easy in a way that you just come in, you type in your email address, and then you connect. We do not have to be just like in Studio, right? You don't have to provide or configure your IMAP or POP configurations. So that way it takes away a lot of intermediary steps that you have to perform for connectivity with an email. And same goes with Office 365 as well. So I'm putting in the email address. I have this email, the inbox folder working with. So you can use any other folder that you want to read through, and you just select. So let's yeah. So you can select here if there are other folders within inbox, spam, send, draft, trash. You can pick up any folders here. Um, I will limit it to first 100 emails. I'm only looking for unread emails. I have attachments configuration, and these all configurations are available by default, right? So you just have to change settings and then you go from there. Additional filters, this is where we put condition, and the condition that I have put in that I'm taking, this is my filter builder. So I have all these options from email object. So they have already broken down the objects in an email, and based on that you can add filters, right? So my filter is on the subject. I'm looking for subject with an automation, only those emails I want to look at. All right, so that's my filter. And then the next step is I want to download those attachments. So let me expand this activity. Here I provide the email address, I look at current email, but I want only PDF. I do not want to download any other type of attachment. If there is a Word attachment or Excel attachment, I don't want to do that, right? Um, so that's a download part, and the next part is upload files. So I am connecting to the same email address to the for the Google Drive, and I am going to upload the email attachment, and I'm going to provide which folder I want to do it. So I can even define a certain folder within my Google Drive uh, to upload those objects. So someone can ask that, right? What is the practical purpose of this? So I usually do that. I mean, a lot of times when I get a PDF and it's some like let's say it's a technical documentation of something, some sort, right? And I want to read it later on. I don't have time right now to read it, so I just usually just email it to myself, right? But once you email it to yourself, the thing is that sometimes you forget or sometimes you lose track of it and you don't get to it and you don't get an opportunity to read it. But how I use this, that now when I have emailed it to myself, this bot runs every day at a 5 o'clock, and then it picks up all those emails with PDF attachment to it, and it updates to my Google Drive. And my Google Drive is connected to my tablet. And whenever I open my tablet, I have all the content that I want to read. It's available over there, and I can easily access it. So it's kind of just uh, enables me for the information to be available, me going back looking for it, that I sent that content myself few days back and where it is and whatnot, right? So that could be a particular use case for someone to look into that. So let's quickly run this. So this is my email address. This is the email account. So you see the Google Drive automation folder is blank here. Go back, and I have 4 of these emails. I have one email with a Word document attached to it. I have a couple of them with a PDF, and this particular email has a random text, and this email does not have any attachment. So I have 4 different cases in a way to simulate this use case, right? So let's run this and go with it. And whenever we run these use cases, they always run from top. So right now, it does not have an option if you want to just run this particular activity and not the previous activity, right? So you cannot run a certain activity from it in between the process itself. So when it runs from top down complete, and it makes sense. We may need something like that for debugging purposes, um, and we'll look into that if that is available later on. So the automation completed. Let's quickly go back and look at it. So this is my automation folder, and there you go. I have both of my attachments here, and whenever I'm available, I can go back and start reading about it. So that's about it, guys. That was I know it was a little quick, but I think this is a very good use case. This is just one aspect of it, right? There are so many other integrations that can be built and utilized in our daily life. Studio Web, the purpose of Studio Web is primarily to enable anyone, right, to get started with automation, quick automation without requiring buying a license or anything. I hope this will stay available on the community edition. Uh, uh, Available for free for users to explore and learn more about it, and that way they can make it part of their daily life. Over to you, Russell.
Absolutely. What a very awesome demo, Pradeep. And from this, I think our attendees would have really good idea on what they can do with this particular Studio Web, how they can automate things that they're thinking of right now. So yeah, and I know we're a bit already over time. So and I really appreciate everyone who's still here. So we overrun a bit. So yeah, we're about to wrap up. Unless you have any questions that you want to ask, feel free to turn on your mic or enable, or feel free to ask away in the chat. Or yeah, so if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to do so. Ask while we're here.
Russell, would you like to share the survey
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
to
And
our
yeah,
members?
that's another thing that I wanna share as well. So I sent in the chat the survey link.
Yeah.
So uh, so yeah, if you have some time, so feel free to answer this survey that we have for you, so we can know how we did, what you like most about the session, what we can improve further, and also what topics that interest you the most. So we should consider it for the next session. So we'll see each other soon again. So in the initial, once if ever you are not here from the start of the session, so we've covered the end-to-end platform at least at a high level, what it is. That's covered. Sorry, the build, manage, run pillar. So what topic of interest, mostly that we should consider for the next session, given that high level overview. If you wanna review the recording, so feel free to do so, so we can know what you want to cover for the next session. Yeah. So yeah, I have the link on the chat. So feel free to have that answered. So yeah, I guess that's what I want to share. And yeah, um, any questions before we wrap up?
I think there was one question from Brian regarding when we can access to the preview.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, so it's available on the community platform. You can just sign up for it. Like when you first launch to the Studio Web, uh, it will be just blank page, and it will ask you to sign up. And just a very simple sign up. You just click the button. That's all it is, right? Because you
Yeah.
already have the orchestrator already with you. It takes around 24 hours, what I have seen, to be available. And if you do not get access to it within, let's say, give it 24 to 48 hours, if you don't get it, then yeah, you can post it on forum, um, and yeah, someone from the team will take care of it.
Yeah. So actually, you can go to directly cloud.uipath.com, and then sign in with your account. Um, do they have to request for something, or if they have the
Yeah, they have to
community, it's
request.
good?
They have to request for it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Plus, yeah, I have my community account. Let me see if what I have here. I didn't request for anything
Okay.
actually.
The only thing
That's,
is, if you have already so you see that Studio Web is there, right? So if you open
yeah.
it up, if you have already signed up, it should be available. If not,
Uh,
then there you go. So Studio Web will be ready to use soon. So you
okay.
signed
So
up
this,
already, right? So sometimes it takes longer, but if that is the case with anyone interested, then please reach out to the forum, and let them know that you want to experiment with it. because it's being rolled out slowly to a limited number of users. Not everyone has access to it right away since it is still in public preview. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you are interested, just email to them. If you don't get it within a day or two, and you should be able to get it. You should be
Yep.
able to have access to it.
Yep. Great. Great. Thanks for that. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think
All right,
this
then I
is
think,
great.
yeah, this is it. This is a wrap for today, and thanks everyone for joining, signing up, and spending your afternoon with us. And please fill up the form so we know what
Mhm.
topics are more interesting to you, so we can bring something that's more relevant, more useful. And besides that, we'll keep bringing in some more content. Studio Web is just new. Because once it
Mhm.
is available in general, uh, generally it's available for everyone. Then I think this is a very good platform to do like a hands-on
Yeah.
workshop,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you don't need to do any preparation, right? So we can schedule some event later on, and everyone who joins in, they all can work side by side
Correct.
and just
Yeah.
get the experience to build something.
Yeah. In fact, I think this is the one of the first community where we had this topic, Studio Web as a topic. So I think,
Yeah,
so yeah, if you are not yet added as part of the community, if you have not subscribed to the community yet, so yeah, feel free to add yourself in the community so that you can get alerted once a new event comes in. Once we have decided for the new topic for, let's say, next month or the next 2 months. So yeah. So go to community.uipath.com and yeah, yeah, go ahead and add yourself into the community chapter. Okay, I'll send that over
yeah,
to you as an email as well.
okay. All right then.
Well, then, thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
everyone.
everyone. Thanks for the and
Yeah, thanks
everyone.
Russell.
Then, yeah,
Yeah,
you
all
see you
right,
soon. Bye bye.
bye.